Hello and thanks for staying on LN 24/7. This is Politics Now. My name is Morno Balagbobo. And as always, we've got a packed show for you tonight. First, we will start to look at the China-Africa Cooperation Summit 2024 that is taking place in China. Here is a rundown of our talking points. First, we'll look at the benefits for Nigeria. The presidency has talked about big loans wooing investors. Secondly, does China's investment align with Africa's needs? That's a fabulous question, and we've got the right person to help us understand that. And finally, rethinking Africa-China partnership. You don't want to miss out when Dr. Aliyu Ilyas, a political economist, will be helping us make sense of what China has to offer Africa and definitely what Africa should be demanding from China. Then later on the show tonight, we'll look at the Rivers politics structure. We'll talk about PDP governor's support for Fubara and how that is shaking up a lot in that particular state. And then Wike's fight to retain PDP structure. We will follow through with his comments last weekend. And of course, should party members not decide who leads them? That's a big question. And our guest, Samson Dumizo, political analyst based in Rivers State, will be breaking it all down for us. He is a public affairs analyst and a writer. We'll take a quick breather. When we come back, we'll begin with China-Africa relations. Stay with us. All right, so Tinubu on Tuesday met with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping in Beijing, China. Disclosing this in a statement, the special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Anjurin Galale, said both leaders announced the elevation of Nigeria-China ties to that of a comprehensive strategic partnership. Now, according to the statement, the duo agreed to build a high-level Nigeria-China community with a shared future. Tinubu also spoke on his administration's economic reforms, assuring Jinping of Nigeria's commitment to sustainable growth through the effective implementation of ongoing economic reforms. And on his part, President Xi noted the strong mutual understanding between Nigeria and China since the establishment of diplomatic ties over the past 50 years. Now, meanwhile, African heads of states are also meeting with Jinping as the 2024 Forum on China-Africa Cooperation FOCAC Summit has begun. Now, this night gathering is expected to provide a framework for navigating China's evolving strategic partnership with the continent in the post-COVID era. President Xi meeting African leaders says it is taking place at a time of rising geopolitical tensions that will see Beijing prioritize its position in relation to other world powers. Now, discussions will also focus on digital and technology cooperation in a bid to close Africa's digital divide. Now, experts warn, however, that African countries should use the summit to foster cooperation that is both sustainable and mutually beneficial. This will be key on our discussion with Dr. Ilyas. Now, China has been intensifying its efforts to strengthen ties with the global south. Hello, you remember the BRICS? Now, analysts say that it views these relationships not just as economic opportunities, but as crucial to its own broader geopolitical goals, and the investment do not always align with the recipient country's needs and development priorities and are associated with high debt burdens. Well, joining us to make sense of China's relations with Nigeria and the rest of Africa is Dr. Aliyu, who joins us from Abuja via video call. Thank you for being with us tonight, Dr. Aliyu.
Thank you for having me.
The pleasure is mine. Now, what are the benefits of the latest efforts of the president to drive in foreign investment, this time China?
I think it's a good one to always be on the national or international stage. So I think it's a good one for Nigeria to also be part of the forum on China-Africa cooperation, because the world is a global world now. You must do business, have a particular relationship with virtually every other country globally. But looking at the position of China, I think China position is quite special. Virtually all African countries would like to identify with China. So it's a good one that we are also part of the meeting in China. But the thing is, what exactly are we going there for? What are we going to canvass for, to benefit our economy, to benefit our diplomatic relationship with China, and other issues? Those are just supposed to be our focus. We need to start, we need to begin to have our own intention while going for such meetings.
Now, Doctor, I would love to know what your thoughts are, because some people rather are saying that as a nation, we should first create an enabling environment to support foreign investment. This is coming in the light of the seized assets by China, of course, via a court in France, as regarding the deal that went bad between Ogun State and the federal government. So what are your thoughts in cleaning in-house? Because when you look at a lot of businesses that have left the nation as a result of struggling economy. So what are your thoughts on those who feel that way?
I think the issue of seizure of the aircraft, I think it's not really true national issue. It's true. You recall that in Nigeria it was Ogun State, which is subnational, who have business with private entity. So for me, if you ask me, I think it's much more of a private organization actually sue. In fact, the Chinese government may not even aware that they are about to really seize those properties. However, when it has come between two countries now, it becomes a diplomatic issue that needs to be discussed. So I think Nigerian government have an opportunity now that they're in China to actually solve the problem. But we should also come back home, and actually I want to see how government want to handle Ogun State for that business, and actually had issues. Because you recall that it's not about the present governor, it's about two governors behind that went ahead to actually have that agreement. And government is a continuum. If you become a governor after someone, you are expected to look at what he has done, not that you just yank it off or decide to like say, okay, I'm not doing this again, typically of what our people used to do. So I think federal government need to come up with a kind of sanction that if a state embarrass federal government, these are what will happen, because this is quite a big embarrassment. Imagine the aircraft that is presidential jet seized, not only one, not two, three of them, even the new one they actually acquired. So I think it's a big issue of subnational and national before it now comes to global stage. For Chinese government, I'm sure if we can approach their if we can go through diplomatic way of solving the problem, I think China will listen to us and will find a way out. But there should be a sanction if I can canvass for that for Ogun State going forward.
Okay, now let's talk about your thoughts on China's investments not aligned with Africa's needs beyond the loans, because we know that Nigeria needs the loans, Africa needs the loans. We need the infrastructure that China can provide as compared to what other regions of the world like America are offering Africa. So the point of the alignment now has to do with critics and analysts saying that we as Africans, we are not really having an agenda, so to speak, unlike China on its part, who is trying to free herself from the shackles of other developed nations of the world and kind of creating an alternative to what we normally see and what has been playing out in the past and wanting to stand alone. But does Africa have a way and a clear pathway to ensure that what China is given actually fits in and meets the needs of the people? Because we keep hearing these investments coming in, but what impacts do they really have on Nigeria and the rest of Africa?
I think Nigeria and Africa, we are not learning from history, and we're not trying to change our trajectory going forward. You recall that our number one trade partner is US, then from US maybe Russia, then maybe I think China should be number 3, if not number 2 now. But what have we learned in particular to actually make sure we solve this, we benefit from this marriage we are having with all these people? Now, China wants to have a global market. So number one reason for China is to create market, is to create market and create a kind of position to position themselves globally. That's what they are coming for in Africa. But what are we doing to take the advantage of them as well, not being susceptible to them? It simply means Nigeria have to have focus of what we actually want. A good example is the railway currently now, as it is now. I think China still are still having it. They've not handed it over to Nigeria. So if we are doing a project-based partnership like that, I think that will be fine. If we have a good uh, conclusion part of it, because sometimes they will tell you that if you don't actually pay back, they may seize this, seize that. We must start from now to look at what actually benefits us. Is it the technology we want to take away from them? Is it the industrialization we want to take from them? Are we bringing them to the electricity sector? We must be specific. We cannot be collecting everything they hand over to you. I recall in Abuja, if you go to every street light, you see China and their emblem, that they're the one that support us. For me, it's not a good optics for us, because those are the things that we can easily do by ourselves. Why not ask for an good infrastructure-based request that will deliver development in next 10 years in Nigeria? So we must come, our leaders must come to the fact that if we are seeking anything from China, this is what is going to benefit us, and that it will not be what will mortgage Nigerian future. Because if you look at our debt profile, is increasing every day, and it's not actually helping. So I think going forward, we should structure what we are actually asking for. Then I was thinking by now, Africa is a leader in West Africa. I mean, Nigeria is a leader in West Africa, and one of the best, one of the leader in Africa. I'm thinking, you recall during President Muhammad Buhari, he discussed about yuan, whereby you use Chinese currency rather to trade instead of dollar. Imagine majority of Nigerians that are doing importation from China, being the second maybe place we import from now, are still importing that with using dollars. And that's why there is a pressure on demand for dollars. So if we are actually using Chinese currency to demand for their product, that would have bring about a balance in the rate of demand for dollar and pounds and euros. So I think we have to shift our orientation and make sure that we do that. And I'm sure our first hand partners, which is US, that we trade with, wouldn't want us to go in that route. But there's a lot of way you can do it. You may not come out and say we are trading with you with yuan, but you empower Nigerians that are importing things from China to use yuan to actually trade. There's a lot of way we can do. So I think that's what should be our focus, not going there for cap in hand to seek for loan that will not be structured. This would have a lot of benefits if we embarked on.
All right, now, Dr. Elias, many Pan-Africanists like myself are calling for a kind of self-sustained Africa. Our economic ties with nations of the world, like the US, does it stand to benefit Africa? And is China the better alternative at play? And where can we begin to call the shots? Because now we are like at the mercy of China. I mean, they call us, we have to show up because we have something to get to collect from them. But I'm looking at a situation where can Nigeria and other African nations begin to call the shots so that the benefit ratio is not within 70-30, but we can begin to get to that level whereby China calls 50% of the shots and we can also call 50% of the shots. Your thoughts?
Right. It appears that Africa, especially Nigeria, is not ready to take the risk. You recall even China, before they get to where they get to now, they have to delink. And when they delink, they have to internally grow, develop their technology, develop their politics. In fact, they work more on their own way of living and way of govern. Now, we talked about geopolitics. We have to go beyond geopolitics and go to geoeconomics, whereby you'll be much more conscious of what benefits you in every dealings. Now, for me, Nigeria have to begin to rethink. If we continue to stay with America, are we going to be better off? If we continue to manage Africa and China, is it going to be better for us? I think the answer simply means you go for what benefits you. Because we have go cap in hand several times to Bretton Woods institutions that, to the extent that they even determine our economics. You recall that our economy, rather, you recall that even the removal of fuel subsidy, it was Bretton Woods advice, the development of SAC, structural adjustment policy. Then, I think you remember, it was also Bretton Woods advice. How long are we going to go into that? And it is actually affecting our economy. Look at Nigerian naira to dollar. Look at Nigerian naira to yuan. You will agree with me that we actually know what we're supposed to do. But I want to see it in a form, in a way by America is telling us that if you do business with China, we are going to seize this, we will not give you aid, we will not give you that. I think that's what is actually about. But we must ready to sacrifice to an extent to shift. Because if you continue to go cap in hand to America, we'll continue to be in poverty until we delink to an extent. If we cannot even delink partially, let us say, okay, this is the trade we'll do with this. Not that everything will succeed to American decisions. I think going forward, Nigeria and Africa, but I won't say even Africa, because if you look at South Africa in their own economies alongside China, BRICS rather, you see that they are actually benefiting from it. But we don't want to identify with all these people. And that's why we are still having this issue. So until our leaders decide to take that bold step to rethink our economy and our partnership globally, I think that's where we can move forward beyond where we.
All right, our time with you is up. Thank you so much, Dr. Aliyu Ilyas, political economist, for making sense of China's relations with Africa. I do believe that it is time for us to actually begin to call the shots anytime we are on that stage with other countries. Once again, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, you're still watching Politics Now. We'll go on a quick break, but when we come back, we'll be breaking down the so-called Rivers politics structure, the fight and the battle for the soul of the People's Democratic Party in Rivers. Do stay with us. Many thanks for being with us right here on LN 24/7. This is Politics Now. It's time to talk Rivers politics. And over and over again, I keep asking myself, why this particular state? This state is very important to Nigeria, not because of just refineries and oil alone. Because when you look at Rivers, I mean, you can't really talk about Nigeria's economy without factoring this state. So its politics is very, very important to us. So tonight we'll be looking at some of the talking points. PDP governor's support for Fubara. You're aware that that has caused a lot of commotion, most especially those in the camp of FCT Minister Governor Wike. And we'll look at Wike's fight to retain PDP structure in the party. But a very key question I really want to interact with our guest is, should party members not decide who leads them? What is with the People's Democratic Party and their constitution? Well, some prominent members of the People's Democratic Party have challenged the former governor of Rivers State and the current minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, asserting that he cannot dismantle the party. Wike, while speaking at the PDP secretariat in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, recently during the party's state congress, warned PDP governors to stay clear of the party's affairs in Rivers, threatening to put fire in their state. Let's have a listen.
In my own state, prepare, because I have the capacity. I have the capacity not do the same thing in your own state. Whether you are from Bauchi, I don't give a damn. Whichever state you come from, as far as I know, that you are trying to put yourself in River State, your hand will get bumped. And you will never sleep in your state. You will never do governance again, you will see political crisis. As far as PDP is concerned. So I've told them, now you have started. When I will start, don't say I'm the one that destroyed PDP. You are the one that trying to destroy PDP. Allow River State to conduct the affairs of the party. You are aware of these unstable characters. We know that they are joining APP. Let them wait during the time they should face us in the election. Don't bother about abuses. We have this skin. We don't even know what abuse is. So don't think about it. Don't say anybody's abusing me. If I'm nothing, they will not abuse me.
Well, those are some tough words there coming from a government official. And this comments comes after the PDP Governors Forum, through its chairman, Bala Mohammed, called for a review of the party's Congress results to restore incumbent Governor Nyesom Fubara's leadership during their convention in Taraba State on August 23rd. Now, prelude to the Taraba meeting, governance in Rivers State had been in a disarray due to a clash of interest between Wike and Governor Fubara, who happens to be both PDP members. This dispute over party control ripped the State House of Assembly into two, with two speakers loyal to Wike and his successor, Fubara. Now, attempts by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and other prominent figures to mediate between the two factions have failed, with both groups refusing to sheath their swords. On Sunday, the PDP Deputy National Publicity Secretary, Ibrahim Abdullahi, remarked that Wike's comment posed no threat to the PDP, which he said had withstood over 25 years of more severe challenges. Well, joining us from Port Harcourt, Rivers, is Samson Dumizo, and he'll be helping us make sense of all that is actually going on. Thank you so much, Samson, once again, for coming to break it all down for us.
It's always a privilege.
All right, so let's get to it. First, let's start with your reaction to the decision of the PDP Governors Forum to back Fubara to lead the PDP in the state. This is not surprising. This is expected. But this decision, of course, you listened to Wike's comments, and those comments have not gone down well at all. What's your first reaction?
Thank you very much. I ordinarily would have stayed away from PDP's internal issues, but of course, whatever happens within the circuit of the various political parties, especially such that has been the ruling party at the center, and then of course controls the politics here in my state. It affects the public, it affects the politics in general, and then of course it affects Nigerians, which primarily is my own interest. Well, the battle for the soul of the party has been on, and then of course we noticed that battle when we had an outburst, made to the public by the governor of the state, of course, confirming the rumors that were in circulation that there was a rift between the former governor, who is now the Minister of FCT, and of course the governor of Rivers State. And then of course from then, several things had happened. From being an internal party issue, it's, exploded into affecting the State House of Assembly and the executive, and then of course got to the point where the State Assembly had to be dynamited, which I believe right here is under construction today. So the politics within the PDP affects not just the politics of the political party itself, but of course the governance of the state and of course the country as well. So the decision of the governors forum of the PDP to back the governor of Rivers State um, as dealing with the internal party wranglings is not strange. First, we must understand that the bloc of governors in every political party, as noted in our politics, is a strong bloc. The governors have most powers and privileges within the party system, and of course, they are decision makers. Everybody who had become a voice today from the governors' forum on the politics of Nigeria majorly, all right, who contributed to a major shake-up, in taking out a government and putting in another, always came from the governors or the ring of the governors. You remember how APC was formed and the role that Chibike Rotimi Amechi played. Of course, you know how President Tinubu came into power, the role that Nyesom Wike himself, the Minister of FCT, played as then governor of Rivers State. So the governor's bloc is a big bloc. It's a significant bloc in the politics of Nigeria. So, and of course, as colleagues, they feel that in whatever is happening to Rivers State, they should side with their colleague, who is Governor Siminalayi Fubara, against the FCT minister, and the minister had reacted to it. But we must also understand that this is not the first time that the governors are taking a decision, to support Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State. This has been a long battle. There had been several meetings where they came up with their resolution as governors forum to say we're going to support the governor, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But at the end of the day, the minister of the FCT always has his way. While these governors have their say, which of course is the beauty and dynamics of democracy.
Now, Dumizo, you've helped us to really understand what is really going on, and thank you for your reaction to the PDP Governors Forum. But let's get back to what Wike said. Should a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria be using words like, I would put fire in your states? I mean, those are the words that came out of his mouth, and a lot of people have said that was just too low for him and a caliber of sort. But I know the pressure. He wants to retain the structure of the party in his state. But how do you justify that?
So, the minister is not elected. He is an appointee of the president. But there again, this is party politics. And, before we take on what someone has said, we need to review what someone has said to the person. To be very practical, the minister considers the meddling of the governors in the politics of Rivers State, as some kind of fire they are setting in the state. The governors teaming up in their circle to, take decisions as to influence what happens within the party in Rivers State is considered as, meddlesome interloping. And the Minister of FCT stated clearly in that video that, look, people are crossing boundaries and they are coming to interfere with the internal issues within the party in Rivers State. And for him, that is them, stoking the fire in the politics of Rivers State, PDP to be precise. And he says, look, if they have taken it personal to, take a side in this battle against me, I would also do the same thing in their states. I'm also going to, by what I understand by that statement, I'm also going to set up, persons within the PDP in those states who are also going to give troubles to the governors, so that they can feel the impact of what they are intending to do here in Rivers State. So I think that's the import of that statement. And if you look at it practically, are these governors taking the fire? If you have to do your analysis, you would see that, yes, they are the one giving all the necessary supports to boost the confidence of the governor of Rivers State to fight his now embattled our political godfather who made him governor. So From my own understanding, that's what the minister was saying. That if you're going to continue to meddle into the affairs of River State, then you also get ready, because I also have the capacity to also sponsor, and finance persons who would also give you troubles.
Okay, now for Wike, who has worked against his party, should he be leading the party? That is what is very concerning for people who are watching the drama that has been playing around and along so far in the state.
Talk about working against the party. First, the Minister of FCT has not defected from the People's Democratic Party, as we all know. Secondly, to further prove the point made, the Minister of FCT attends the meetings of the People's Democratic Party, and his attendance to those meetings are not forced. You can only attend those meetings when you have invitation to be in the meetings, and they have continued to send him invitations to be part of the meetings of the People's Democratic Party. And he has stated clearly that, look, I am not leaving the People's Democratic Party to the APC. I am a member of the PDP. And I do not see in the PDP's constitution where he has violated to have taken an appointment, by the federal government of Nigeria, even though led by the All Progressives Congress, which is an opposition party to the PDP, and others. So it cannot be clearly established that the Minister of FCT had played anti-party. We're waiting for the party to do that, to establish that he has violated the constitution of the party. But then again, you would also understand that the governor of River State, who is also a PDP member, has continued to say that, look, we are supporting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. During the campaigns, the governor himself and everybody working with him today alluded to their support to the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress. Similarly, Fubara didn't support Atiku Abubakar. He didn't. He supported and voted for President Tinubu, as acclaimed. So if he did otherwise, he should come and tell the public. So you can't judge A as doing this and severe B, from doing the same thing. If that is the case, then if it's the basis to evict, the FCT minister from the party, it also means that you have to suspend the governor of River State for also, aligning with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as he acclaimed, during the last elections. I think that the issue of PDP is beyond what the Honorable Minister of the FCT wants. I think that the issue of PDP lies within, and it is not sponsored by any other external factor or personality. The problem within the PDP, what caused the disagreement was that, look, the PDP had produced there's what called power rotation, and the outgoing president at the time was from the north, and the Minister of FCT, and of course, they called themselves the 5G governors, said, look, we are from the south, and if power is leaving the north, it should come to the south. And so we will need the ticket of the party, to be sent to the south. It's a position held on principle. The party didn't adhere to that advice, and they decided to, support the southern cause, even within the PDP. So, and these things happen even in global politics. If you look at the politics of America today, you're going to see persons who are Republicans, but of course showed up in the Democratic party congresses, and of course they rendered their support to Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, so as against Donald Trump. So it's a matter of liberty within a democracy, and I think that the PDP is not helping itself by looking away from the fundamental issues that have caused the disunity in the party. If you say Nyesom Wike is the problem, he's not the first making his case and, of course, taking a decision out of displeasure. Peter Obi was a member of the PDP. Peter Obi left the PDP for Labour Party. And that's simply because the PDP itself was not able to, be rational enough beyond an individual's interest to look at the collective interests of the party. And that problem still lies within. So if you watch Chief Bode George, he tells you that the problem with the PDP is the presidential candidate of the party, Atiku Abubakar. So I do not think that the FCT means that's the problem.
Now, you've said quite a lot reacting to the fact that Wike is not the only one, who has engaged in anti-party activities, given the fact that he and the G5 governors, connived to work against the PDP candidate, that's former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. So, in other words, what you're saying is that Wike is guilty and so is Fubara. So, if they are to lay claim and lay hold over the leadership of the party, they will both not qualify. Which leads me to the question, why are the members of the party not the ones to decide who owns the party, rather than claims by the FCT and Fubara governors saying that they're holding on to the structure of the party? Then the PDP governors forum were like they want to hand over the party structure to the person of Fubara. What is the real role of the people of the party themselves?
I think that the constitution of the party is silent on, who is the leader of the party. I'm not sure the PDP constitution states expressly who is the leader of the party in the states. Willing those powers to the governor. I'm not sure that is, because if it were, of course, the party would have, built the strength of its decision based on that constitutionality. So I think, but it's been an assumption within the political space that whoever becomes the governor eventually becomes the leader of the party in the state. But then again, we must understand that structures are humans in the party. Structures are not blocks. Structures are humans across the stratas of the party in the state, from the state to the LGA, to the ward levels, down to the units. Persons who occupy positions within the party, members are structure of the party. And you must understand that when it comes to leadership, politics, of course, not excluded, people pay loyalty to whom meets their interests and guarantees, their pathway. In politics, that's what people do. Their alliance and loyalty is to the one whom they trust, has their interests, and of course guarantees their pathway in their political pursuits. And so when it comes to Rivers State here, I have established that the constitution is silent, from the much I know, on who is the leader of the party. Otherwise, the party would have acted based on that constitutionality. Now, if that's remains silent, then people should have the liberty to determine who becomes their leader. It will not necessarily be the party deciding. If people feel that Nyesom Wike, the minister of the FCT, is the one who has their interests at heart the more and guarantees their political pathways, of course, their loyalty to him should not be denied. It should not be forced on the governor against the minister. If a broad majority of the party members think that their political success lies with the governor and he has their interests more at heart, and they want to will their loyalty to the governor, they should be allowed to do that. It will not necessarily be the party superimposing who becomes the leader in that case, because the establishment of people having their way in politics is always subject to a broad majority. That notwithstanding, the minority should always have their say. The majority will always have their way. So that's the liberty we should enjoy in politics, even down to the political party system, which of course forms the foundation for any good politics. in every democracy. So I do not think that now saying the governor is the leader is what's essential, or the minister is the leader, or is what's essential. People's loyalty, should be willed to where their interest is. And I think that's what's happening. When you have all of the former local governments chairmen saying, look, our leader is the minister of the FCT, where you have all the assembly members, so a broad majority of them, over 90% saying, look, our leader is the minister of FCT. And if they have said so, I mean, nobody should try to, sway the tide. And I think that's where we are. But then again, the PDP needs to be very drastic and very careful. You have to be careful when it comes to the politics of the PDP. Is it better to do away with the minister of FCT and have the governor? Or is it better to do away with the governor and have the minister of FCT? It's a matter of who worth more to the party. But if I were to advise, I would advise that the PDP, takes the bold step to be neutral in their pursuit for justice, peace, and unity in the party. Because having the governor and having the minister, to the party would give them a greater advantage. I haven't seen pretty much the boldness to, cause unity within the party. These same governors had said, look, we're going to do what it takes to mediate between the minister of FCT and the governor of Rivers State. The same governors now come to say, look, by what has been reviewed by the minister, they are going to fight and return power of leadership to the governor. I mean, if you wanted peace in the party, you're going to listen to both sides and do everything possible to have them come to the same table, and there'll be peace in the party. I mean, there are instances we can look at. In Lagos State, for decades now, we've had governors come and gone, but the leader of the politics of Lagos State, not just the politics of the All Progressives Congress, but the leader of the politics of Lagos State. By that I mean he commands the respect of a broad majority against others across all party lines. That's Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is the president of Nigeria today. There has never been a contest of who is the leader of the politics of Lagos State, even in the All Progressives Congress. The governors have never come to drag leadership. They always know that their leader is Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is now president. So if the same thing is happening in Rivers State, I do not think that's a problem.
Okay, now let's talk about the NWC of the party in resolving the crisis. On the other hand, the state PDP is allowing its members to be continuously divided into factions loyal to either Fubara or Wike. Now, looking at the just concluded party congress, what are your thoughts on what actually transpired and generally how this crisis is affecting governance? Now, by governance, I'm looking at how all of this tension, within the party is having a toll on Governor Fubara as a person, because we cannot, dispute the fact that this is definitely a distraction for the governor, which in turn could hamper governance in the state.
First of all, as of today, the governor of Rivers State does not have a stake in the PDP as of today, and I'll give my reasons. You talked about control at the national and then, of course, control at the state. The minister of FCT gains more influence, at the national level of the party. Don't forget that he had contested to be the presidential candidate of the party. So he has traveled the length and breadth of this country, consulting with members of the PDP at a high level. So he's a stakeholder at the national of the PDP. At the time, he was the only voice for the PDP in the country. So if you look at that, you discover that he has influence over the politics at the central. Of course, if you look at the state, you also consider that he is in charge of the party because he has control over the state working committee to the local governments and then to the ward and the units. And if you see clearly, as cleverly observed, you saw the assembly members who were rumored to be members of the APC who were at that Congress. The implication of that is that they have defined and stated obviously that they are still members of the PDP and not members of the All Progressives Congress, as people put it there in public. Now, there is an existing process in courts to determine the membership of the PDP, of course, which case is sponsored by the governor of Rivers State, as revealed, to prove that they are members of the All Progressives Congress. But their decision and participation in the Congress proves that they are members of the PDP. So that is no longer in doubt until the court says otherwise, speaking to the evidences before the courts. Now, the control obviously is, in the palm of the Minister of FCT, because if you watch, there's nobody, who belongs to the governor who participated in the World Congresses, the LGA Congresses, and then, of course, the State Congress. So the Minister of the FCT is in control of the party. The governor is lost in that agenda. And that's why you see that the Minister of FCT alleged that the governor of Rivers State is moving to APP. If yes, is it APP or or AAP? I don't know, something. And the minister has alleged that, of course, they are moving to that party. That means clearly the carpet has been swept off their feet in the PDP. How do you claim ownership of the structure of the party when you don't even have one single ward executive? So it's obvious the minister of the FCT is in charge of the party. And I have been in Port Harcourt here. I have seen, a secretariat of the APP, I guess, being erected here in Port Harcourt. It was rumored that it was dynamited, but I have driven past where that office is erected. And it is also alleged that the owner of that building where the party is being erected, of course, is the chief of staff to the governor of Rivers State. So it's the dots. The dots are coming in, and things will become clearer, at the end of the day. But if the governor of Rivers State does not have a stake in the People's Democratic Party, I do not see what kind of politics he wants to play within the party. Now, talking about affecting the state, I do not think that, all of these internal issues, as much as they can be a distraction, I do not think it is tangible enough for anyone to excuse that is affecting the development of the state. And I've said this several times. The governor of Rivers State has the spending power, all right? He receives allocation, he allocates the money and does whatever he wants with it. He said it in one of the church services they attended that what they wanted was this red Bible, and he has the red Bible. That is to say that he's the one in charge, he has the authority. And is he limited in offering good governance to Rivers State? I do not think that should be an excuse. He is not limited because his allocations are coming in an increasing figure unhindered. That's number one. Number two, the governor has formed a 3-man assembly for himself, with which he is getting approvals to do whatever he needs to do. So the governor is making appointments. The governor has a full cabinet. The governor is appointing people into parastatals and agencies of government. That means government is running. So, being a governor means you can take decisions to implement projects on behalf of the people. So there would be no excuse that this governor is not able to deliver on the mandates given to him, because there has never been a seizure to the allocation. He has powers to appoint people, and he's doing so. So the governor has everything he needs to fulfill his promises to Rivers people, despite the internal issues within the PDP. The issues within the PDP has not stopped him from being the governor of Rivers State. It has not stopped him from receiving allocation. It has not stopped him from appointing people into positions of trust for them to help the government. So there are no excuses. There's no excuse. It would be illogical for anybody, including the governor, to come tomorrow to say, look, I could not fulfill my promises to Rivers people.
All right. Thank you so much, Adumizo Samson, for all your breakdown and analysis of all that is going on in Rivers politics structure. Well, as you said, Samson, it appears that FCT Minister Nyesom Wike still has a whole lot of influence in the political sphere in Rivers, even though he is in Abuja running the affairs of the FCT. But as they say, charity begins at home, and the FCT minister is, key on still maintaining that influence. Well, what will that mean for Fubara? Well, that's the much we can take on the show. But thank you so much, Samson, for sharing your thoughts tonight on Politics Now.
Always a privilege. Thank you so much.
And that's our show for tonight. Do make sure you keep in touch with us on Friday for another exciting edition of Politics Now. Once again, my name is Morna Balagbobo. Special thanks to the crew. And, of course, see you same time right here on Friday.